so happy that you've joined me on another Saturday for another amazing episode. On today's episode, I'm going to be musing about celebrity deaths. And this is because there have been so many happening in the recent years. And it's the people that we grew up knowing. And I just find myself like every time I go online, there's somebody that I know that died. We recently lost our classmate from college, Maureen Chemos. May she continue resting in peace. And this is somebody that I know, somebody that I've known, somebody I sat in class with, somebody that, I sat on tables and ate with, somebody that I used to talk with. I used to change from their room in college. So there were 4 girls and she was one of them. I used to use their room because I was not a boarder, I was a day scholar. And so Marion, Maureen, Mercy, and Mary, they are the ladies who used to let me use their room to change, to put my bag in there and stuff like that. And they were so nice to me while in college. And so losing Maureen was just such a, like a stab in the heart, because I haven't spoken to her in so many years since we left college. Actually, this is in 2010, but that does not mean that I've forgotten about her. You go online and you see these people on social media, people that you went to school with, and you're like, oh, she's still okay, oh, she has given birth, oh, she is married, oh, she has a second baby, oh, she's this, oh, she's graduated, oh, she's done her masters, oh, she's traveled out of the country. Like, you don't talk to them, but you're seeing the way their life is progressing and you're keeping sort of tabs on them from afar. But then when something like this happens, it brings you all back together and you have to be there for each other. And so it was so painful just learning of her death and the way it happened as well. It was such a sad situation. So may God be with her family and may God be with, all her loved ones, everybody that knew her, everybody that cared for her, everybody that loved her, and the child that she's left behind and her mom. May they be like in God's first priority list when it comes to blessings and love and comfort and all of that, because they lost somebody that they held dear. Because if it hurt me and my classmates as much as it did, I can just imagine how much it hurt them. So may God be with them and may she rest in eternal peace. Now, that is somebody that I knew. Celebrity is a little bit different because you know these people, but they do not know you like at all. You see their lives online, they share parts of them. If they are musicians, they share, their music with you, and you listen and you fall in love with them and love them in a very, very sometimes holistic way, but sometimes in a very crazy and weird way. But then you get to know these people, they become a part of your life, especially for those people who are like in regular series, they are part of your a daily routine. Every day you come back from work, every day you come back from school, you sit down and they're on your TV and you have to watch them because you love whatever show they're in. And then one day comes and you hear that they're dead. And it just hits you differently. You mourn them, but you can't go to their funeral. You can't be with their family. And their family actually tells you that they need some respect and, time to mourn their dead. And it's like you're not part of them, but you know this person. You didn't know them physically. You never sat at a table with them. You never talked to them. You never saw them, in person, but you know them. It's just like, it's not just like you know of them, you know them because they've shared so many pieces of them with you across so many years. So I'm just going to mention a couple of people that we've lost that hit me in particular very, very hard. So there's the gentleman from Dawson's Creek. I can see his face, but I've forgotten his name and I didn't write it down. I don't know why. And I wrote while I was writing all the other names down. But if you watch Dawson's Creek, you know who I'm talking about. He just died, I think, last month, which is just so sad. Somebody else that we lost last month was Chuck Norris. He was from Walker, Texas Ranger. If you remember, like when you were growing up, millennials, 90s kids and stuff, we watched Walker, Texas Ranger like, like it was a must, I remember coming from school and we had to watch it. As I said, I think in a previous episode, we didn't have TVs in our houses back then. So we had this hall where I grew up where there was a TV for everybody living in that compound to go and watch. And so every time it was time for Walker Texas Ranger, we'll have to go there. Young kids and older people, all of us will be sat there watching this man acting as Walker Texas Ranger. And yo, when I had his death, like it just made me feel like I'm getting so much older because the people that when I was a kid were adults and I was looking at them and going like, oh my God, this person is so like he's so brave, he's so this, he's so that. And now they're getting much older and they're dying because of one or two things and it's just sad. I have said this before. I think I wrote it on my Instagram. Like, I feel like my childhood is being erased one step at a time because it's not just Walker Texas Ranger, it's not just Chuck Norris, it's Catherine O'Hara as well. She starred in Home Alone as the mom, Kevin's mom, and I remember watching the movie back in the day. It was a Christmas movie, and every Christmas it used to be brought on TV. Like, hey, Kitambo. I've spoken about the way Christmas days used to be for me, and I remember just sitting at home and this movie used to come. That and other Hallmark movies, on KBC or KTN when KTN started, and NTV when NTV started. But before it used to be just KBC, and yo, you'll watch this movie and just fall in love with Kevin and all the shenanigans he gets up to. And then when the mom comes back and when she remembers actually, like, Kevin, that moment, that face has been used in so many other reactions that I've watched in the past. And recently, she has starred in a lot of other shows, but recently I watched her as Moira Rose on Schitt's Creek, and yo, she's amazing. If you want to just watch an amazing comedy, that is just the writing was beautiful and everything, and the character that she played, Moira Rose, was just diabolical. Like the range in this woman, I mean, like we've lost such a great actress, and I still feel like it was too soon. It was still too soon. I don't care. I mean, I cried for Moira Rose. I know it's Catherine O'Hara, but you cry for the character that you knew. So I cried for Moira Rose, and she's just going to be missed so much. It's so sad for the world to have lost her. Somebody else that we recently lost was Liam Payne from One Direction. This one hurt even worse than the others, honestly, because I've spoken about One Direction before, and I love One Direction in a weird way, like the way I love these boys. I feel like, I don't know, because maybe I followed their career since they began in 2010. I feel like they're just part of my life somehow. And Liam was young. I think he was 31 when he died. That is October 16th, 2024. He was only 31 years old. Like, so young. He left behind his son, Bear. Like, yo, my God. It's just so sad. Like, I remember waking up that day and just, switching on my TV, kama kawaida, going on YouTube, and it was all over the place. Every video was Liam Payne's death. What caused Liam Payne's death? The last moment of Liam Payne. And I'm like, what? What? I go on my Instagram just to check, and it's all over. Rest in peace from, entertainment. And from other news pages on Instagram, I go and Google his name. Like, by this time, I was crying. Tears were running down my face. I was already crying, and I go and type his name, and it's there. And yo, my God, I'll never forget that day. I don't think I'll ever forget. I cried as if I knew him. I felt like it was my younger brother who had just passed on. It was so, so heartbreaking because he was 31. And if you know his story, he was going through a lot during that time. And the causes of their deaths, I'm not going to discuss about them, but still, it's just so sad for this world to lose such an amazing human being who had barely done like what he was supposed to do. Or sometimes they say like, yeah, you die because you've already accomplished your whatever, but he was a dad, a young dad. His son was still very, very young when he died, and so he still needs his dad. So I don't know. I see his face every time I hear any one of his songs. I just go like, Liam, and I just feel like tears, coming back to my eyes. I don't think I'll ever be able to just forget that day and how it felt and how it still feels, because it still hurts actually just talking about him. The other person was Charles Ouda. Was in 2024, I believe. Was it in February? Yeah, February 3rd or something. When I remember I was out of the country, I was in Sharjah, and I was sitting on my bed online on my laptop looking for work. And then on my phone, I go online on Instagram and I see the news from Kenyan media outlets and other media, the gossip sites and stuff. I was shocked because I remembered him from Makutano Junction. He was Charlie on Makutano Junction. I remember how much I loved that show growing up. And he was just one of those faces that you grew up seeing. You'll hear the name Charles Ouda and the picture will come to your mind, because I had seen him in kids' TV shows. I had seen him on Makutano Junction and on other movies, Kenyan. And I think he even did other projects abroad. Like, he was amazing. He was a writer, he was a musician, he was an actor. I mean, such young talent and taken so early. I remember telling my roommate in Sharjah, like, do you know this guy, Charles Oud? And she goes like, remind me. And I tell her, and just like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, he just passed on last night. And all of us, we were just like in shock in that room talking about him, because the previous day I just seen him. He was out with Jackie Matubia and they were partying at this, I think it was a rap party for their show, the one they were doing for Showmax or something. And we were like, what? It was just a shocking moment, and tears just came to my eyes. I remember, because you've known these people, as I said, they don't know you. Like, if you die, they wouldn't mourn you, but you know them and you just feel like you have to mourn them, because you feel like you have a loss inside of you, that you have lost somebody that you always knew, even though you have never met them. The other one was Olwenya Maina, again from Nairobi Half Life, and Talia as well, and another project. This guy, I loved him from the moment I saw him on Nairobi Half Life, and every interaction I saw him having with the other actors and actresses like Jackie, VK, and others, like, he looked like a really nice guy. And then one day you just hear that he's passed on, and you're like, what? How? Like, what happened? You want to know the details? Like with Charles Oda, nobody knows. Like, nobody knows what happened to him. And I feel like when you know what happened, it sort of gives you closure, because now you can understand. If somebody asked you, you'll be like, yeah, we lost them to this and this. But you also understand the thing that the family has with their privacy and stuff, and they want to keep it for them. And you understand that, because again, they knew him, we did not, like that. Like, we didn't know them like that, they didn't know us, so we are not entitled to the reason of their death. But still, it will just help, I think, if you did know, for the closure and stuff. But yeah, the families do not owe us that. But Olonya, I think he was sick before he died. Yeah, he was ill and he was only 34. And they say he collapsed while he was at the Nairobi hospital getting treatment, if I'm not mistaken. And he just collapsed and he died. Like, it's just sad. He was only 34. Like, yo, I'm almost turning 36. And to imagine that Liam 31 or Luenya 34 and others that tell you that when they're 30 still, like, it's just so sad. The other one was Matthew Perry from Friends, Chandler from Friends, and he died in 2023. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. And that was another one that hit me hard. Like, every time I rewatch Friends, because I love rewatching Friends. Friends is that show that if I'm bored, if whatever, if I'm just in the house and I feel like watching something good that will make me laugh, I can just put on Friends and I'll just laugh at whatever it is that they're doing, especially Joey and Chandler. There's somebody, a Kenyan celeb, who had written online that she does not understand what the hype about Friends is all about. And she was criticizing Friends and was like, have you ever watched it? She was like, no, I just don't like it from the clips I've seen online. How can you hate something that I've never watched? Like, don't you dare disrespect Matthew Perry, because Chandler Bing was one of the funniest people ever. I mean, don't even. So, yeah, I mean, it's so sad that he passed on. And the cost, like, we know it. And again, it's sad. I'm not going to talk about that. But yeah, may he rest in peace. The other one is Bilal Wanjao. He was on Tidy High. I don't know much about him. I know him and I know his face and I know the part that he played, but I know he played in Tidy High, but I don't even remember him that well because I didn't interact with his shows or his content in the recent years. And yeah, but it was sad because we still lost him. He was a Kenyan actor and we lost him, and that is just so sad. The other one was Angela Chibalonza. I remember this one. I cried in 2009. I didn't even understand what I was crying about, but I was a kid. I wasn't a kid. 2009, I was 19. So I wasn't like a kid, but I remember I mourned Angela Chibalonza and that one song that everybody loved. I loved singing that song. I remember there's this time I even taught Sunday school in my church and I taught the kids another one of her songs. I've even forgotten which one it was, but it was another one. So not Ebenezer. I don't remember which one it was, but I remember teaching the kids and it was around that time. So yeah, that's how I mourned her. Got to teach the kids from the Sunday school in my church that song. And yeah, she was an amazing musician. She was taken from us too young. I think she was also in her 30s, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. The other one was Charles Bukeko, aka Papa Shirandula from Papa Shirandula. 2020. In 2020, I lost my uncle Humphrey. But before I lost my uncle, because my uncle like closed the year for us, he died on the 23rd of December. But Papa died earlier that year. Just when COVID was hitting and there were all the rumors that he had COVID, they didn't even know that that was true. The people who had interacted with him the previous day and they didn't suffer from COVID. So, of course, he didn't have that. I think he just, I don't know. I don't want to speculate, but he died. And we couldn't even mourn him properly because even the people who knew him and they went to bury him, they just like they had a day or something. But I'm so glad that Akina Jackie VK and the other people who knew him, they went back after COVID had, the strict regulations had been taken down. They went back to his home and they mourned him properly, and they were able to have a memorial service for him afterwards. I'm really grateful that they did that. But Papa was such a great loss. I cried. Honestly, I did. I cried for Papa because I've grown up watching this man. You come home, you sit down, you watch Papa, on Wednesdays. And then the reruns on Sunday. Was it Sunday or Saturday? Mchana. Something like that. And he's just always there. You remember that Coca-Cola advert? The brrr. Oh my God. That man is like, I saw him growing up. And then one day he's just normal. And you don't even know that you're going to miss them or cry for them until you hear the news that so and so has passed on. And you're like, oh my God, I've lost like a dad or an uncle or something. Like, how does this happen? And you know, even Justorina from Justorina, I don't remember her real name, but even her, when she passed on, I was like, I've been seeing you on my TV and now you're just no longer there. It's just sad. Another one, Eric Dane, most recent as well, just last month. From Euphoria, Grey's Anatomy as Max Timmy and other amazing TV shows. I mean, Eric Dane, that one hurt. And I remember speaking about it and I told you, like, I woke up in the morning and there's a novel I was reading and I was trying to remember a name that I had read from that book. I was like, Eric, and I was like, Eric Dane. And then I'm like, no, it's not Dane. And I didn't even remember that Dane is Max Timmy's name. And then later on, I'm online in the evening and I see we are starting to announce the death of, I was like, oh my God, this is why. Because the Eric that I was looking for, his name is Eric Bennett. Why did Bennett turned into Dane? It was just a weird thing that happened. And I think I'll forever mourn him because Max Timmy was just one of the best. He made Grey's Anatomy amazing. And his friendship with Mark Dreamy, I know they have names. Patrick Dempsey, yeah? But they just made, and him and Lexi, oh my god, like if you haven't watched Grey's Anatomy, go and watch it and you'll understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, that was such a huge loss, and he left behind these two beautiful daughters who still needed him. Like, I mean, I know they say a parent should not bury their child, but also a child shouldn't have to bury their parent when they're still so young. It's just so sad. And the other one is Malcolm Jamal Warner. He died, I think, earlier last year or last year but one. But I'm thinking it was last year. He drowned. Yeah. And it was also sad. And I remember this one, I almost missed it. I wasn't online for, I think, a couple of days. Then one day I'm there and I see people are giving their rambi and stuff. It hurt. It hit. It hit kind of hard. Like, I only saw him on The Resident. Actually, not only, I remember seeing him in other shows growing up, but the most recent one that I watched him on was The Resident, and he was amazing. He was phenomenal on it. Like, he was an amazing actor. So yeah, we have lost a great one. And he was also young. I think he was in his early 50s or late 40s. Early 50s maybe. I don't know. But yeah, we lost a good one. The other one is Cory Monteith. This is Finn from Glee. He died at only 31 years old. I mean, as I said, 30s. I don't even want to talk about Cory because every time I rewatch Glee, I've only watched Glee twice. The first time I watched it, because as I think I've told you this before, I usually do this thing where after I start watching a new series, I start Googling the characters, like who they are, what other shows they have acted in and stuff like that. And then I Googled Finn because he had an amazing voice. I loved his smile and I loved the way he used to talk. And so I Google him and I find out that he's dead. I was like, oh my God, he died in 2013. When I was watching this for the first time, it was, I think, 5 years ago, because I just started doing the rewatch last year. But I think it has been that long since I last watched it. So either 4 or 5 years ago, that's when I watched it for the first time. And I remember being so shocked by it. And that they have a memorial episode for him in season 5. And I just remember I bawled that day. I cried. I cried. And it was so painful that, believe it or not, Glee ends in season 6. I did not remember how season 6 ended. So when I was doing the rewatch last year, I just finished actually last month the rewatch, because again I got to that season 5 and I stopped because I couldn't take anymore. I stopped, and then I took a couple of months to just, I don't know, calm down from it. Then I finished watching it last month. That is season 5 and season 6. When I was doing the rewatch, I remember I got to season 4, and then it hit me that he's not going to be there in season 5, because even in season 4 he was on and off, on and off, on and off. And I believe in his real life he was going to rehab or something, and then he's not there at the end of season 4. And then it just dawns on you that, yeah, it's coming. I go to season 5, episode 1, episode 2. I think it's episode 3 where they do the memorial for him, the memorial episode, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's episode 3. And I cried again, like as if he had died yesterday and I'm just getting the news, or he died just today and I'm being told the news like, hey, Finn Hudson is no longer here. Cory Monteith is no more. And I never watched the interviews. I've never, these other people, I watched them in interviews. I've watched them, doing live shows and stuff like that. But him, by the time I was watching Glee for the first time, he was already dead. So I didn't go and check out the interviews or anything, but just from his character on Glee, I just feel like he deserved a little bit more. He should have lived. I mean, it was just so sad. A few years later, Santana, that is Naya Rivera from Glee, she dies at 33. And I'm like, seriously, why? And she was with her son on a boat and they were swimming and she couldn't make it. It was an accidental drowning, and Like watching Glee is heavy. I'm telling you, if there's a show that makes me cry, almost every episode is Glee. And that is without even thinking about them. And then Grey's Anatomy is the other one because of Grey's Anatomy. It's a medical show, so you can understand that. But Glee, just knowing that these people are no longer with us, makes me bawl like a little baby. And it's just sad. And sometimes I don't get to understand it, but I don't know. But yeah, I think I'm going to stop it at that because I could talk about these celebrity deaths and it just won't make sense to somebody who does not want it to make sense. Because there are people who go like, you are crying for people you have never met. And I'm like, yeah, but they impacted my life in one way or another. I mean, if you watch Glee and you hear Corey singing, and you watch Glee and you see Santana and the energy she had, and then you hear that they died while so young, while they still had so much to offer, it just punches a hole in your heart because you're like, why did they have to be taken from us while at a very, very young age? Because 30, 31, 33. I mean, Catherine O'Hara and Chuck Norris, they are the oldest in this list. And Matthew Perry and, of course, Charles Bukeko. They are the oldest on this list. And then Eric Dane. Then followed by Malcolm Jamal Warner. All the others were in their 30s when they were taken from us. In their 30s. Actors, musicians, still doing amazing things. And I know, as I've said, people will judge me. People will think that it's stupid that I'm crying for celebrities that I've never met. But you won't know how much they impact how much they've impacted my life unless you have somebody who you have never met, somebody that you see just on your screen and they've impacted your life as much. Or you wouldn't know unless you have a love for film and theater and music and you just are so grateful for the people who make them get to you. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't want to start crying because if I start thinking about Liam and Corey and Naya. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. Sometimes I'll just be here and start crying. Like Glee makes me bawl. I think after I've done the rewatch last year and this year, it will take me another couple of years, God willing, if I've still been here, inshallah, to rewatch it. Because Glee is a generational thing. Like every generation has to watch Glee to understand. And yeah, it changed a lot of things and I love musicals and it's music, music, music all through. So yep, I love them and I love the show, but I love these people so much. May they continue resting in peace. May their families find comfort in the tough situations that they were left in. I don't know how you are supposed to move on because I know they say everything, God plans everything, and you know they're back with God and stuff like that. But it's hard to tell somebody who has just lost somebody that they love, somebody that they were planning to have a future with. I think Shikumururi said this. Like, don't tell me that, you know, I don't want to, I don't remember exactly what she said, but don't tell me that it was God's plan and that they're in a better place, you know, where they are or something like that, because they were supposed to be here with me. We had planned to get married. We were planned a future. So how can you tell me to understand that they're in a better place? Well, the better place they would have been in is here with me. So there's all of that. So yeah, may my college mate, Maureen, continue resting in peace. May all the celebrities that I've mentioned continue resting in peace. And I'd like to urge you, if you're listening to this, if I've listened up to this moment, just respect people when they start mourning the celebrities. They were human beings too. And they impacted our lives in one or another. I remember crying for George Michael and I was a kid and I didn't even know what I was crying for. I remember crying for Whitney Houston. I remember crying for Luther Vandross. I mean, yo, and I was a kid. I only knew their music and I loved their music and I cried for them. So don't tell people not to cry for celebrities when they pass on because at the end of the day, you'll only understand when you have been impacted by them the way this person who's crying for them has been impacted. Okay? So yeah, remember to please tell me in the comment section which celebrity's death made you cry the most. Which one impacted you the most, that is. Remember that I'm still baking, so make your orders pronto, and I'll make them for you. Follow me on Instagram and on TikTok, Mimi's Musings Podcast. Please tell a friend to follow me here. Somebody asked me on Facebook the other month that, oh, this channel of yours, how do you follow, blah 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 blah, and I told her, and she told me, oh, I'm going to follow you. That thing has not moved from 45 subscribers before she asked me, so I know she didn't subscribe. So please tell a friend to tell a friend. If you have 2-3 phones, can you put YouTube on all of them and follow? Like, I don't know if that will make sense, but please subscribe. Remember to please like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications so that whenever I upload something new, you're going to be amongst the first people to come and watch. Okay, bye bye now. Love you.